Good morning, everyone, and welcome this morning to the memorial service for our very dear and beloved Swami Brahmarupananda ji. He, I'm sure, will be very happy that so many people came out. Yeah, whether he's watching now or whether he's immersed in bliss or at the feet of Thakur Ma is our guess. We don't know, but in any case, it's nice that so many people came. Oh. Okay. Okay. I didn't say anything important before, so anyhow, welcome to everyone. I want to just go over the program for this morning. We'll start with some Vedic chanting, the three of us will do, and then there'll be two group songs. This morning we won't have any individual bhajans or anything like that because there won't be time, and it's not the occasion for it also. So we'll have the two group songs, and then the three of us will speak by turns, and we'll invite whoever would like to say something to come. Now, we have a very strict rule, 3 minutes only, but you can go over it. But not more than 5. Try to keep it under 5, if possible. And we'll finish with everyone singing together, Ramakrishna Sharanam. And then everyone is invited downstairs for lunch, and devotees have made a very beautiful video presentation. So we'll try to finish lunch as quickly, efficiently as possible, and then we'll show this nice presentation of all different pictures. We have a nice collage there, you've seen, different pictures of Swami B, and I think even some video presentation, so that should be very nice. Okay, so now we'll start with our Vedic chanting.
Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Madhuvatartayate madhuksharanti sindhavaha Madhvir irnasantoshadhihi Madhunakta mutoshasi madhumatparthivagum rajaha Madhudyaurastu nah pita Madhumanno vanaspatir madhumagam astu suryaha Madhvir gavo bhavantu nah Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.
Composed by Jyotirindranath Thakur, the elder brother of Rabindranath Tagore. And this song is sung at Belur Math at the time of the cremation of every monk. is the first song which is sung, and this is the translation. Behold, the abode of bliss can now be seen, resplendent with unparalleled beauty, across the ocean of the world, and full of light. Come, all ye who are suffering from grief and affliction, there all sorrows will be lifted. You will taste peace deep in your heart, and prema, divine love, will awaken within. How many yogis, rishis, and sages are immersed in the deepest contemplation. With fixed gaze, they are drinking in the nectar of immortality, completely forgetful of the world. What sweet, divine songs the gods are singing, praising the stainless and all-pervading divine. Millions of moons and stars are dancing in delight. Behold, the abode of bliss can now be seen, resplendent with unparalleled beauty, across the ocean of the world, and full of light.
দেখা যায় আনন্দ ধাম, অপূর্ব শোভন ভব জলধির পারে, জ্যোতির্ময় ওই যে দেখা যায় আনন্দ ধাম, অপূর্ব শোভন ভব জলধির পারে, জ্যোতির্ময় শোকতাপিত জন সবে চল, সকল দুঃখ হবে মোচন। শোকতাপিত জন সবে চল, সকল দুঃখ হবে মোচন। শান্তি পাইবে হৃদয় মাঝে, প্রেম জাগিবে অন্তরে। শান্তি পাইবে হৃদয় মাঝে, প্রেম জাগিবে অন্তরে। ওই যে দেখা যায় আনন্দ ধাম, অপূর্ব শোভন ভব জলধির পারে, জ্যোতির্ময় কত যোগীন্দ্র ঋষি মুনিগণ না জানে কে ধ্যান মগন। কত যোগীন্দ্র ঋষি মুনিগণ না জানে কে ধ্যান মগন। সীমিত লোচন কি অমৃত রস পানে ভরিল চরাচর। সীমিত লোচন কি অমৃত রস পানে ভরিল চরাচর। ওই যে দেখা যায় আনন্দ ধাম, অপূর্ব শোভন ভব জলধির পারে, Bimala Bimugurna Bandana Koti Chandra Tarayana Sita Nritya Kariche Abhiram Koti Chandra Tarayana Sita Nritya Kariche Abhiram Oi je dekha jay Ananda Dhama Apurva Shobhana Bhava Jaladhir Pare Jyotirmoy Shokta Pita Jana Shabe Chala Chakala Dukha Have Mochana Shokta Pita Jana Shabe Chala Chakala Dukha Have Mochana Shanti Pai Hridaya Majhe Prema Jagibe Antare Shanti Pai Hridaya Majhe Prema Jagibe Antare Oi je dekha jay Ananda Dhama Apurva Shobhana Bhava Jaladhir Pare Jyotirmoy Toto Jogindra Rishi Muni Gan Na jane ki dhyan magana Toto Jogindra Rishi Muni Gan Na jane ki dhyan magana Stimita lochana ki amrita rasa Pave bholino charachara Stimita lochana ki amrita rasa Pave bholino charachara Oi je dekha jay Ananda Dhama Apurva Shobhana Bhava Jaladhir Pare Jyotirmoy Kishodhamoy Gan Gaiche Suragana Bimala Bimugurna Bandana Kishodhamoy Gan Gaiche Suragana Bimala Bimugurna Bandana Koti Chandra Tarayana Sita Nritya Kariche Abhiram Koti Chandra Tarayana Sita Nritya Kariche Abhiram Oi je dekha jay Ananda Dhama Apurva Shobhana Bhava Jaladhir Pare Jyotirmoy Oi je dekha jay Ananda Dhama Apurva Shobhana Bhava Jaladhir Pare Jyotirmoy Jyotirmoy
Age 24.
Just a little note about this hymn. This was Swami Brahmarupanandaji's favorite hymn. Swami Bhashanandaji told him the very early days when he first started going from Chicago and having classes and the pujas and things like that, that he should chant this whenever he goes to somebody else's house or some other place. So some people may wonder why he always did it, right? Whenever he went to someone's. So this was his very favorite, and it's very nice that you all sang it. Now I will request Swami Mahayogananda.
I'd like to start by reading Swami Vivekananda's amazing letter written to Mrs. Sarah Bull on the occasion of the death of her father. We always read this at memorial services in Hollywood and here also. So I'm fortunate to get the chance to read an excerpt of this letter. So Swamiji writes from Brooklyn on the 20th January, 1895. I had a premonition of your father's giving up the old body, and it is not my custom to write to anyone when a wave of would-be inharmonious Maya strikes him. But these are the great turning points in life, and I know that you are unmoved. The surface of the sea rises and sinks alternately, but to the observant soul, the child of light, each sinking reveals more and more of the depth and of the beds of pearls and coral at the bottom. Coming and going is all pure delusion. The soul never comes or goes. Where is the place to which it shall go when all space is in the soul? When shall be the time for entering and departing, when all time is in the soul? The earth moves, causing the illusion of the movement of the sun, but the sun does not move. So Prakriti, or Maya, or nature is moving, changing, unfolding veil after veil, turning over leaf after leaf of this grand book, while the witnessing soul drinks in knowledge, unmoved, unchanged. All souls that ever have been, are, or shall be, are all in the present tense, and, to use a material simile, are all standing at one geometrical point. Because the idea of space does occur in the soul, therefore, all that were ours, are ours, and will be ours, are always with us, were always with us, and will be always with us. We are in them. They are in us. The cloud moves across the face of the moon, creating the illusion that the moon is moving. So nature, body, matter moves on, creating the illusion that the soul is moving. Each soul is a star, and all stars are set in that infinite azure, that eternal sky, the Lord. There is the root, the reality, the real individuality of each and all. Religion began with the search after some of these stars that had passed beyond our horizon, and ended in finding them all in God, and ourselves in the same place. The whole secret is, then, that your father has given up the old garment he was wearing, and is standing where he was through all eternity. Will he manifest another such garment in this or any other world? I sincerely pray that he may not, until he does so in full consciousness. I pray that none may be dragged any whither by the unseen power of his or her own past actions. I pray that all may be free, that is to say, may know that they are free. And if they are to dream again, let us pray that their dreams be all of peace and bliss. Yours, etc., Vivekananda. So after this profound Vedantic view of the unreality of death, I would like to share a few reflections on Swami Brahmarupananda ji, who is in us and we are in him, and we are all together in God. He shines in my memory as a deeply beneficent presence, an ever well-wishing, ever-blessing sadhu, who manifested so well the golden qualities of patience, forbearance, service, humility, and love. He practiced what he preached, and he preached what he practiced. His deep study of the Bhagavad Gita, which he loved to share with us and with all Vedanta students, manifested in him. He began to embody those virtues that are delineated by Sri Krishna in the Gita. It is our good fortune to have known him and to know him, and it is a blessing to remember him. Sri Chaitanya, in his Shikshashtakam, the 8 verses of instruction, has this beautiful one of the verses is this beautiful verse, Trinadapi sunichena tarorapi sahishnuna amanina manadena kirtaniya sadaharihi. O my mind, be humbler than a blade of grass. Be patient and forbearing like the tree. Take no honor to thyself, give honor to all. Chant unceasingly the name of the Lord. I think Maharaj used to chant this verse, and he lived this verse. He lived this verse. Be humble. Be patient and forbearing. I never saw him take any honor on himself. Rather, he respected everyone. He honored everyone. And that helped us to feel holy. When a holy man like Swami Brahmarupananda ji would salute us and respect us and honor us, we ourselves begin to feel holy. That's how a great sadhu blesses. He had memorized so many scriptures, so many verses were on the tip of his tongue, but I never saw a trace of a pride of learning in him. He offered that genuine respect, recognizing the divinity shining in everybody's heart. He also had a delightful simplicity. Sri Ramakrishna emphasized that it's the simple-hearted person who can easily attain God. And he had this charming simplicity. He lived so simply. For instance, tea. He loved tea. He loved a cup of tea. But it was simple tea. It was Lipton tea. I also like tea, but I like to have a Darjeeling tea or maybe Earl Grey tea or something fancy. No, Swami Brahmarupananda, maybe just half a cup of Lipton tea, and yet with what joy he would enjoy that, the simple pleasure of drinking a cup of tea. Simple living and high thinking. I went to his room last night just to see his room, and I was hoping to find a little memento that I could keep. Nothing in the room, just a few clothes and a few books. So simple his life, and so dedicated. His forbearance was remarkable. He had so many health challenges, yet he carried on with that steadiness, that constant steadiness, always ready to do whatever seva he could. I remember him very regularly and carefully ironing the cloths which we use in the shrine. They'd be washed on Saturday, and then Sunday or Monday he would iron them carefully, bring them back, and always cleaning the flowers off the shrine in the evening, whatever he could. And of course, as long as he could, he was ready to travel. He lived for sharing Vedanta with others. Those teachings which made his life so beautiful, he wanted to share those with everybody. That heritage, our beautiful heritage, our rich heritage of Vedanta, sharing his understanding of how to live, how to approach this very difficult life of ours with patience and dedication, how to consecrate our lives to the divine. So he loved to travel. He was just to share his enthusiasm for Vedanta, for the Gita, and the teachings of Sri Ramakrishna and Holy Mother, and always encouraging us. Practice, that encouragement, that constant encouragement. So it was actually a great sacrifice. He lived a life of real sacrifice, keeping nothing for himself, dedicating his whole life to the Vedanta movement. For 10 years before this center was founded here on Belpre Road, he worked incessantly in this Washington, D.C. area, building up the community that then came together when the center was founded. So he was a real community builder, and his dedication to that, it's a tremendous contribution to the Vedanta movement in America. And I'm sure that contribution will continue to bear fruit for a long time. So with that, what arises in our hearts is gratitude. Gratitude to Swami Brahmarupananda for your kindness and your encouragement, your support, your sacrifice, your unselfishness, the way you helped found this center and place it on a firm footing. I humbly bow at your feet. I'd like to close with the beautiful poem composed by Swami Vivekananda in honor of his disciple, J.J. Goodwin, who died unexpectedly and prematurely in Uti. Speed forth, O soul, upon thy star-strewn path. Speed, blissful one, where thought is ever free, where time and space no longer mist the view. Eternal peace and blessings be with thee. Thy service true, complete thy sacrifice. Thy home, the heart of love transcendent find. Remembrance sweet that kills all space and time, like altar roses, fill thy place behind. Thy bonds are broke, thy quest in bliss is found, and one with that which comes as death and life. Thou helpful one, unselfish e'er on earth. Ahead, still help with love this world of strife. Now, Swami, we'll hear from Swami Bhaswatananda Ji.
Namaskar. Of all of us here who had anything to do with our dear and revered Brahmarupananda Ji, I think I am the one who spent the least time with him. Nevertheless, I too can count myself a recipient of his love and affection, of his blessings especially, because I have felt it. In nearly a year that I have lived with him here, in the same house, under the same roof, all I have done for him is occasionally, only occasionally carry his books to and from his classes, or fold his clothes after they were washed and dried and place them outside his room. I don't remember having done anything more for him. The chance of serving Maharaj regularly and more frequently came only a short time before our Kumar Maharaj went away to California a few weeks prior to his leaving for India. And I took over from him the work of applying skin cream on Maharaj's legs and giving him a very light massage. But even this is such a small thing that it can hardly be called service. I may have done this only about a dozen times, only every other day as Maharaj wanted it. And it was never more than 15 to 20 minutes each time. However, during this period, Maharaj's characteristic reserve dissolved and he would smile. Sometimes he would beam at me, and I'd be so happy. Sometimes the smile came more from his eyes than from his lips. I said, I too am a recipient of his love and affection and blessings. It was then, when I saw the smile in his eyes, that I felt that. At those moments, I felt that he had accepted my service and blessed me. And every time, at the end of it, he would also unfailingly fold his hands and say, with genuine humility and respect, Om Namo Narayanaya. That was his way of acknowledging the service he had accepted from a brother monk. In fact, he even said as much a couple of times. Of course, it was very embarrassing to me, but as you know, that was how he was, and I had to accept that too. Anyhow, this is my little personal reminiscence. But as I watched Maharaj for almost a year, three things have struck me as his defining characteristics. To respect, to really respect everyone, no matter what they are or who they are. To be truly kind and considerate to others, regardless of one's own comfort and convenience. And to be always content and deeply thankful to God for whatever He in His grace may send us. About these things, however, I should like to hear from you all, since you have seen and been with him for much longer. Ever since I came here, I wondered, and I still continue to wonder, at this beautiful community of Thakur and Ma's children. I haven't seen such friendship and understanding, such cooperation and harmony in an ashram in decades. And you know better than me the two souls who we owe it to, the depth of friendship and understanding that existed between them, and which has resulted in this happy community. So I would like to hear about these things from you people. I'll always remember revered Brahmarupananda ji as a beautiful, gentle, humane soul. May Sri Sri Thakur and Sri Sri Ma keep him very close to them for all time. Om Tat Sat.
Most of you know that I go back a long way with our Swami B. Almost 50 years there's some funny karmic connection, I think, between the two of us. We were both in Philadelphia at the same time. I was a student, he was a teacher at Drexel University. And there was a small Vedanta group there. And whenever the Swamis would be invited, I would go and I would see him there. And tall and slim and very dignified looking and everything. We didn't have a close relationship, but we had a respectful relationship. We knew each other and everything. So years later, it was really a great joy for me to find out that we would again be together here. Anyhow, I don't want to go through all of this again. I went through a lot of it during the funeral. But what I really want to talk about is the last couple of weeks of his life, because the Swami B that we all know was a little bit of a new Swami B. He really, he just, it was very hard to explain, but a switch turned off in him. You know, he was a warrior. I don't know how many people know that. He knew more about his health condition than any doctor you'll ever find. You know, all the way taking his pulse and everything. But all of this disappeared at the end. Let me go through the last couple of weeks, because to me this was very, very significant. And it was really, people ask me, do I miss him? Do I feel sad? It was such a joy to be with him those last 2 weeks that I don't feel the slightest bit of sadness. It was just something remarkable. Anyhow, what happened was, most of you know, he took a trip to India. He wanted to see his niece and other relatives one last time. Now, the last 2 trips, he also told me one last time. So, but this time we really got the feeling that he wouldn't even try another trip after this, with the age and health and everything. He came back, and we were all very happy. He seemed quite healthy, but he told us that actually towards the end of his trip, he fell a little bit ill. And this was just before our big program started. We had the concluding program for our Jubilee year, under our 25th anniversary year here. And all the Swamis were here and everything. And he started to feel a little achy and sick and everything, so we did a COVID test. And it turned out to be positive. And later that day, he called me into his room and he said, call 911. So he was having terrible pain in the rib area. So I called 911, they came, they took him to the hospital, and immediately put him in the isolation room because of the COVID. So for a couple of days, I couldn't see him, none of us could see him. Only Hari, who you'll hear from later, we designated him the primary care physician, so that he had that privilege, and then later we finagled our way into me getting some special privilege to go. I kept telling them, the doctor said it's okay. Sometimes they said, let me check with the doctor. One time they wouldn't let me go at all, but anyhow. After a few days, then we sort of had permission. So then I saw him every afternoon. And what happened was, a lot of people don't know all the little details. What happened was he swallowed some of the vomit, and that caused a certain type of pneumonia. What do they call it? Aspiration, yeah, pneumonia. And then his breathing became very bad. Of course, he had infection and everything. So the doctor called one day and said, I want to discuss something with you, because I was his medical power of attorney, the signer on the living will and everything. So I went in, you were there also, We went in and he said that the next step is this intubation, to put a breathing tube into the lungs, and that he said he doesn't want it. So it was his decision, of course, but I knew that he would say no, because that was on his living will, and we discussed it so many times. So I said, yeah, that's his desire. I didn't make any attempt to try to change his mind or anything. Now, he was more or less told that you can count on dying now. And that was like a switch went off. Really? Now this is the end of so all of the worry about his health, everything went right out the window. And he just kind of looked forward to it, really with great joy, looking forward to that passing. It was really something remarkable. I remember he called me one afternoon, and he said, when you come, I want you to bring a few things. So I said, okay. He said, go into my room, and you'll see, look at the bookcase. Hidden behind Gita there, you'll find a little stone. This is from Mount Kailash. You'll find a little bit of water from Manasarovar. And bring some Ganges water, bring some vibhuti for the forehead. So I said, all right, I'll bring everything. And then he said, and bring a paper and a pen. So I said, okay. So I brought everything there. I gave him a few drops of the water, put vibhuti on his forehead, and then he said, write down a few things. I said, okay. So what to do with this pension fund, what to do with this bank account, just a few little details. There wasn't very much. And then my favorite thing, at the end, he said, and promise me one thing, make sure that I'm really dead before they put me in the crematorium. So I laughed, of course, and he said, no, I'm serious, it's happened. Now when I went, after this, so they moved him to the regular unit, so he was no longer in the intensive care, and regular unit, but still isolation was on the door, but now they didn't really mind. So I could stay. I decided that I would stay because the doctor gave the impression that once he decided not to get the extra oxygen, he was still getting oxygen, that he may only live a few hours, or maybe some days, but he really said it could be that same day. So I went with that idea in mind that I'll stay. I didn't think it would be 4 days after that, but it lasted a long time. Now the one mistake I made was I didn't remember to bring pictures of Thakur Mahan Swamiji. So that was the one thing he said, are there any pictures? So the best I could do on my phone, this picture of our shrine. And he saw that his eyes lit up. He was so happy. He said, oh, our shrine. Because he loved it. He spent so much time in the shrine here. And then later we had the pictures brought. And these 3 pictures, one of the folding things, Thakur Mahan Swamiji, they had to be in front of him the whole time. Every waking second he was looking at them. If the doctor had to do some intravenous, we had to move it. We had to push it to the tray to the side and face it to him so that he could still look. The whole time that he just wanted to look at photos of Thakur Mahan, and especially Holy Mother. And during this period, he became very chatty and very cheerful. We talked about so many things. I kept asking him questions, about his childhood and about his meeting Swami Brahmarupananda, taking sannyas, all of these things. And he was just talking in such a good mood. Now, I attributed a little bit to he started getting a little morphine in addition to everything else. And that one night, he said, again with the tea, is it possible to have a little tea? And the nurse said, yeah, you can have tea. He said, I can have tea. And just in the paper cup, the very ordinary type of tea, he was so happy. And Hari was here for most of this. It's so funny. He said, look at me. This is so nice. I'm dying and I'm drinking tea. And he had 3 cups of tea that time. Now this drinking was a problem. He had no food the whole time. The last 7 days at least, no food, and then was getting no liquid, always thirsty. That was a sad thing. So he drank the tea. Then after that, he could drink out of a straw. Then after that, just with a sponge. Then at the very end, I had to just take spoons of water to put it in his mouth. So he went through all these different stages, but when he was talkative, he spoke about all the old Swamis, how much he loved them, and somebody mentioned this idea of gratitude. He just got into that mood where just thanking everyone, and how blessed he was, that this Swami and that Swami, and just went on and on and on, and all sorts of little things. When he first came to the United States, he flew into Pittsburgh because he was going to the University of Pittsburgh. The host family thought he was coming in the next day, so there was nobody there to meet him. And he didn't know what to do. He had a phone number. So he said that there was a policeman, and he helped me make a phone call to the host family, and he even used his own dime. And he thought, how wonderful. This man doesn't even know me. And then he was saying that he got his first check. He didn't have a bank account. He didn't know what to do. And the woman there in the office was so kind that she let me endorse it, and she deposited, and she gave me money. So simple things. But he was so grateful to everyone, all of the devotees here, to our center. So this was a great theme towards the end. But the most important thing, and something he kept saying over and over and over again, Swami Apurvanandaji, Holy Mother's disciple, and Swami Asheshanandaji, Holy Mother's disciple, both promised me that Holy Mother will come at the end. And he had absolute faith in that. And he started talking to the picture of Holy Mother. Mother, I'm waiting. I'm ready to go. Why aren't you coming? He looked at me one time and said, is it a trick? They're playing on me. I said, no, Maharaj, it's not a trick. We don't know how she'll come, what form she'll come in. One time I said to him, Maharaj, please close your eyes. Try to get a little rest. He said, what if Holy Mother comes when my eyes are closed? So I said, she may not come that way. And maybe she'll come when your eyes are closed. We don't know what form she'll come in. So anyhow, these were the main themes. This is what was going on. Then the next morning, this will be the day before, he went into that state. If you've seen people who've died, it's one of the stages where it's almost like a coma. Yes, the breathing state, and no sign of any external awareness. So I thought the end is very close, started chanting again. So many times we started chanting in front of him. Hari Om Ramakrishna. We did it about 4 hours one day and then finally stopped, and he was fine that night. So I started chanting, and still he remained the same. Then, very interesting thing happened. And I don't want anybody to blow this out of proportion, to make it into some miraculous thing. But to me it was a very noteworthy thing. A nurse came, new nurse came, was very sweet, very nice, somehow took great interest. She heard us do a little chanting and everything, and introduced herself, and then wrote on the board her name, Sarah. So something flashed in my mind. Oh, this is how Holy Mother's going to come. Because I also believe that she'll come. I was waiting to see how will she do it. So I thought, Swami B, he hasn't been conscious for hours now. But I thought, let me see. So I went to him, I said, Maharaj, can you hear me? His eyes opened. And I said, Maharaj, this is your nurse. Her name is Sarah. And he said, oh. And I said, Holy Mother has come in the form of your nurse to bless you. And he looked at her, and he had this beautiful smile on his face, and his hands folded like this. So I said to her, she must have thought I was crazy. I said to her, put your hand on his head and bless him. So she was fine. She was great. So she did that, and slowly he closed his eyes, and he remained like that with his hands folded for a long time. You'll see pictures. I took some pictures. I'm sorry I didn't take the picture with her hand on his head, but anyhow. So that was the last moment of external consciousness that he had. And I really feel that in his mind, Holy Mother had come. I don't know what he saw, if he saw Holy Mother, or just, he was like a child. Whatever I said, he believed. I said, Holy Mother's come in the form of your nurse, but he had that full faith at that time. So his last conscious moment that we know of, external consciousness, was filled with the joy that Holy Mother had come in the form of his nurse. So after that, he remained in that state till the next morning. I was with him early morning, and I saw on the monitor screen that his oxygen level started going down quite quickly, his heart rate going quite quickly. So again, by his side, Hari Om Ramakrishna, Hari Om Ramakrishna, and then the last breath came. So This to me was the sign that nothing is wasted in this life. That it's absolutely true that at the final moment, the final days, in this case the final week, you could say, that the fruits of a life well lived, a life of devotion, will fully manifest at the very end. So, as I say, it was a great joy, a great privilege. He was in such a cheerful mood that really, people say, oh, what a sacrifice you made staying there. It was really so enjoyable. And not the least trace of sadness when he passed away. It was a wonderful thing. So, my prayer is that Maharaj now is at the feet of Thakur Ma, and that he's enjoying the bliss that he so richly deserved. So, I thank all of you for that. And Rinadi, we'll let you go first because I know you can't stay very long. And then whoever would like to speak, after that, one by one, well, let somebody finish and then raise your hand. And one by one, and try not to go too long. And it'll be nice if it's some special memory. Everyone can stand up and say, oh, he was so wonderful, so this and that, and everything, so humble and everything. We all know that. But some special memory, some special incident or something, that'll be of more interest to all of us. So, Vinadi, we have to bring a mic. Huh?
I miss you, Swami, dear Swami B. You have been my mentor from years before our Vedanta center existed. I saw your love for us devotees as a mother, grandfather, friend, and brother to the Swamis. You hammered into us that work is worship and practice constant remembrance of God. You treated everyone and everything with respect. You explained in no uncertain terms that just as divinity, Brahman, resides in humans, same Brahman is in all animate and inanimate beings. Often you mentioned an incident in Holy Mother's life and her instruction to respect even the broom. Often you talked about renunciation. You said, what we call my home is just temporary. So true, so true. You set an example to see divinity in all human beings. Once, after a celebration at this center, food was distributed, then kitchen closed and cleaned. I happened to bring a couple of plates for Swamis upstairs and put it in the fridge. In came a homeless lady to the living room and asked for food. When I was about to give prasad, she asked for spicy food. You were sitting reading. You came to the kitchen silently, took the food from the fridge, warmed it, and offered it to her with such respect. She went her way. Then you turned to me and smiled and said, that could have been Thakur asking for food. I was stunned. Your organizational qualities were superb. You brought different factions of us devotees together, like a mother way before 25 years of this, our beloved Vedanta Center. When we had puja celebrations at a Montessori school at Columbia, we were not the congregation in this hall today. You, in all your motherly but firm way, directed us. We were talkative, children noisy, and movements of all kinds. You asked us to take the name of God during the whole puja, assigned singers, and nodded to sing at appropriate times. This puja of yours was done all by yourself and was exemplary. That was when I found the difference between religiosity and spirituality. Thus, you brought many factions of devotees of Thakur Ma Swamiji together, and be ready for this our beloved Vedanta Center. Cannot end without mentioning your eloquence. You had such vast knowledge of the Vedas and a superb, fantastic memory, be it from Gita, Upanishads, or stotras of Shankaracharya. You brought it down to our level and emitted this to us by giving practical points and examples from current events. You were the epitome of humility. To conclude, now it's time for the oldies to fade away and marvel at the loving, caring way how you, Swami Brahmarupananda ji, Swami Atmagyanananda ji, Swami Bhaswatananda ji, and Brahmachari Kumar ji have been able to attract so many younger and older devotees to be part of our own Vedanta Center of Greater Washington, D.C., so close to my heart. Last few years, I haven't been able to attend physically, but Vedanta Center has been very much part of my life. My tribute to you, dear Swami Brahmarupananda ji, would be if I could practice and follow even 1% of your teachings. But I feel I have your blessings. Yeah.
Everyone, please try to stay because.
Less than 3 minutes.
Yeah.
The 2 minutes is fine.
30 seconds.
Jai Thakur, Jai Ma. I have known Swami Brahmarupananda ji from the time he came to Washington area, many decades. We became more like brothers. He has been part of our family, our life. He came to my house many times. He was there at the 16th birthday of my second daughter, who is now 43 years old. So you can see how long we have been associated with him. There are so many memories, and Swamiji says 3 minutes, so I will try to fit as much as possible within 3 minutes. In some early years, he used to come to my house for in Balvikas used to have a New Year bhajan. So he used to come for the bhajan. Then all midnight, bhajan is over. Then early morning, we used to get some idli breakfast, and then I used to drive him to the Kalpataru Day Puja. From Virginia to the school there, middle school. Yes. So we used to talk along, and we had many chats. As I said, there are so many memories. But he was a very understated man, very humble, very kind man. But he had also a good sense of humor. Once I asked him, why did you become a sannyasi? He said, Rao Garu, shall I tell you the truth? I said, sure, that's what I expect from a Swami. He said, when I was not a Swami, I used to go to the airport, pick up Swamis, take them there. I used to drive them around and do a lot of seva. So I thought, if I become a Swami, other people will do that for me. That I took it to my heart. And unfortunately, as a married man, I cannot become a Swami. So I started pretending to be a Swami by wearing kashayam. Swamiji, I can report, it seems to be working. These days, people take me to their house or somewhere to a Vedanta center. Padma brought me here. So I think the trick is working. I am also pretending to be Swami, and thank you for giving me that advice. Thank you, Swamiji.
Thank you.
I would not stand here to take your time, and particularly after so many, these three sadhus have said, took us to a different level. But it is my daughter who is out of town for a conference, and she sent me a couple of days back that, Daddy, I would say those things if I were there, so please say that on my behalf. So I told Swami A. Swami A says, sure. I know Swamiji at least 10 years before the center was built here. But the first photo, I think Jyotin Chokshi showed me when Riti was 1.5 years old. And after the retreat at New Windsor, there is a photo session, and Riti was sitting in Swamiji's lap. She doesn't remember that, but that is when she was 1.5 years old. But what she remembers, I'm trying to read, but I cannot do it in verbatim because I got to skip because of the time constraint. It says, Swami B and it played an essential role in my upbringing and childhood. I think we hear from the sadhus, we hear from all the adults. There are kids like Riti, there are other kids, and how they interacted with the Swamis should be in our forefront because they are the next generation. So whatever Riti wrote is from her mind. I says that I always look forward to his visit in our house because she used to come and stay, and that had a profound impact on Riti. And I could say that Riti says that it was like my playmate in a night over coming. So Swami B became so friendly. Swami B and they played a ball, a squeezy ball. It's a small ball, whole day almost. He would play smilingly, and Riti would run and find that ball. That was the game. As much as Riti enjoyed, so much Swami B enjoyed. And occasionally he would ask for a cup of tea. Other than this, whole house was such a calmness that me and Sumita and Riti really enjoyed. Nothing else but his presence. Huh? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He was my, that was, so he encouraged me to pursue my passions, regardless of how challenging the path would be. He always believed that I would succeed. So that was implanted on her, that it was a success that she will have. And that gave her confidence and gave us peace. He would give me a big smile and nod every time I visited Vedanta Center. I was unable to see Swamiji that frequently after I went to college. Then she writes that she wanted to come and visit Swamiji that very Saturday. And she told me, I'm going to the hospital. And morning she called and I said, Swami passed away this morning. And she was very shocked. But she says that she was being able to see her child to Swamiji and daughter. Even though he may have left his bodily form, he says that he is with me. That's hard. I'll add 2 more sentences before I leave. I have come to Swamiji anytime I wanted. And Swami A also knows. And knocked the door, sometimes didn't knock the burgeed. Either he was reading or he was sleeping. He says, "Ha, Kishalai." That booming voice. We heard that booming voice through his slopes, through his chanting, and that booming voice I miss. But what I heard from Swami A, that he is in joy. I called him once, Swami A connected me. Yes, he was all in joy. And I said, Swamiji, you are going to Ramakrishna Lok. He was very confident and sure that is happening. So this is what I see a big difference in sadhus. I remember Swami Buddhashananda Maharaj, 12th president. Calcutta has not seen after his death this kind of people all going to, it's only 3 minutes. How much I took? Not even 3 minutes. Almost 6. Okay. So when he passed away, I wanted to say something about what I read in day before yesterday's.
There's no time.
Oh no, but yeah, I'm doing it. Okay, so I want to stop here saying that this is how he departed, and this is a lesson for us. Okay.
So somebody has to catch a plane. Where is she? Sunita? Huh? She left already. Okay. Yeah.
Namaskar, this is Shanta Murthy. I'm Shanta Murthy. I work in the Library of Congress. I'm a 84-year. I thought I'm older than him a little bit. So he is, because of the 2 reasons, when he had come to my house, he has eaten lunch with me, and I know him very well. We used to speak. I think I'm the only person. He told me this thing once over the phone several times actually. He said, do you think, Shanta, with all this ailment and this and that, I will be okay in the end? Because I see you with all your ailments, non-curable cancer, and with all this you are still working full time. So I get ready to do all these upanyasas and everything. You are like an ideal to me, Shanta, he used to say. I used to tell him, don't worry, Swamiji, you will go just like that. And that's what he did. I have written a poem using his name as the acrostic poem. First letter is his name. Please understand. sadhu sannyasi with great devotion at the feet of the holy trio, matured and intellectual personality. This is Brahmarupananda now. Brahmacharya, religious, austere, humble, monastic life, affectionate, respectable, undoubtedly pure-hearted, appreciable, nice personality, and a smiling face. Namaskars to the devoted Swamiji, as desired by him, joyfully and peacefully united in Sri Ramakrishna divine life. Namaskar.
A lot of people want to speak. I want to make sure that Arati gets to speak, because he was also with Swami, and I want to make sure that Vikas gets to speak, because he goes back longer than anybody. Oh, she's here.
Oh, then she should go next, no?
Okay. Yeah. How much time does she have? Oh.
Come,
No, let people come on.
come.
People can't walk.
On behalf of my mother and sisters, I wanted to express the deepest gratitude for the blessing of knowing Swami B since 2010. And the words that pour out, and we all said simplicity, humility, equanimity, purity, wisdom, discipline, clarity, and so unassuming, but overwhelming spiritual intensity, and just the ability to transmit his knowledge and just illuminate our hearts and our minds. And we just loved his methodical and very systematic approach to using analogies and stories, like we are just the jewelry box, and the jewel is inside each one of us. In his case, the jewelry box was just so translucent. And the other one, you might remember that we're going around and around the Beltway, and when will we take the exits and go where we need to go? We can go either direct, or we can take the scenic route, which I think many of us are somehow never getting off the Beltway. Then also, he's to say we can take the long cruise or the short cruise, depending on how much money or punya that we had. But in the end, you have to come back and then get back on track to reach the goal. And another one, he used to say, some will stay in college 3 years, some 6 years, but someday everyone will graduate. Do your best and leave the rest. And I often felt, because I had so much work in the office and travel a lot. In fact, I have to leave very shortly for international travel. I always felt bad that I didn't have enough time for Vedanta and for coming. And he would always say, work is worship. And he said one of his favorite verses was from the Gita, chapter 18, verse 46. If everything I do is worship, then I am always worshiping the Lord. And I was thinking of what to say, and I suddenly found this passage in a book, which I felt like I really had to read. It's really short, but it just seemed so fitting. The illumined mind brings greater consciousness with a direct inner vision and inspiration. It imparts a spiritual urge and pours luminosity into every cell. Its clarity, its tranquil daylight gives place to an intense luster, a splendor and illumination of the spirit. A play of lightnings of spiritual truth and power breaks from above into the consciousness and adds to the calm and wide enlightenment and the vast descent of peace, which Swami B gave to all of us. And he used to say that we are the coffee cup, and you need the coffee cup to hold the coffee and the Atman. And he was helping to pour the coffee and keep it nice and hot so we could taste it and feel the bliss. And we're just so blessed to have been in the presence of a saint. Thank you so much. Swami B.
I'll be brief. I timed it. It was 4 minutes. So, Namaskaram. Thank you, Swami, for giving me a chance to speak today. I have to briefly talk about, I met Swami Brahmarupananda in 1989, our family did, in the Ganges, Michigan Center. Our relationship slowly deepened, or my relationship slowly deepened over the decades through our frequent interaction at the children's camp and house visits, which is due to my parents, and I believe many parents' belief here that the company of holy individuals like Swami B is crucial to our upbringing. When I moved back from India in 2019, it was a very sweet surprise when I called the Vedanta Center. Swami B not only recognized me right away, but he inquired about every single devotee in Michigan, and it made me realize that the bond I had lost sight of, because we get busy with, whatever, he had not forgotten about, and it was very strong with him. These last 3 years here has been very transformative for my life with Swami B and our Swamis here. A chance to serve a sannyasi, in my opinion, is something one rarely gets, and I'm grateful for that opportunity, the opportunity to have that, and grateful for the time to spend in holy company. Swami B, as has been stated here, as an exemplar of scriptural knowledge, he quoted the Gita like someone who only lived it and imbibed it could. Additionally, he was an example to me of how to bear numerous physical ailments with nobility and grace. Oddly, I'm going to miss the grunts that he, as he walked into the shrine every day, and right after, you would hear him grunt, get up and turn off the lights. I will remember and miss that. And the random gifts, like these socks I'm wearing today, which Swami A apparently got, and then he gave to Swami B, and then Swami B gave to me. Very, very grateful that you got those socks, Swami A. And the constant positive Swami/grandfather, to be honest, vibes for me. I didn't know my grandfather, but every time I visited. I did feel it would be relevant to share a slightly edited journal entry from the time Swami B was in the hospital. I keep journal entries. But before I start, I wanted to thank Swami A, the opportunity to serve Swami B, Drs. Pratibha and Dr. Shushil for helping me. I'm a pediatric oncologist. I'm not an adult doctor, so just navigate some of the more adult relevant issues. And all in the Vedanta Center, many who have just been very instrumental in coordinating food and other essentials for Swami A, who barely left the bedside, often chanting Hari Om Ramakrishna throughout the night for hours so that Swami B would have a quiet, spiritually intense environment during his last moments. I cried quite a bit during those times because it was nice to see the deep love and simple banter between monks who are always our old friends and just the monastic tradition. And I do want to apologize if I upset anyone during that time by not answering phone calls or not answering messages. It was a little bit more the doctor-patient kind of part of it, in my opinion. So here's an excerpt that I made while sitting beside Swami B during his last few days. Some additions are there, and I'll probably just turn this way to address it to Swami B. I write this note at your bedside during one of your brief rests. As you lay in your final days, I cannot help but cry in selfish sorrow and joy. Sorrow as you will soon leave us behind. Selfishness as I thought about everything to keep you alive, even if it meant you would suffer considerably in recovery if you had made it through. Swami B, you had suffered so much, and I am ashamed I thought to do things you didn't want, like mechanical ventilation and life support, as you called it, for my pleasure. At the same time, this sorrow is mixed with joy, joy that you will soon meet Holy Mother, Joy that you were at peace with the decision after you made the decision to not escalate care. Selfish joy that you reaffirmed my long-standing conviction that the path of renunciation is the most worthwhile pursuit in life for all. Joy that I will have sweet and fond memories every time I drink black Lipton tea, remembering how you relished it. And I will remember how you said, "Is this death? If so, it's not so bad," with a big smile. To me, a sannyasi is the pinnacle of our tradition. Everything we hold ideal, and you live this ideal to the very end. A sannyasi lives for the benefit of the world, giving each breath for others' well-being. And there is no better example than you talking to all the devotees who called, listening to their sorrows and comforting them while barely being able to breathe. While conscious, Swami, you shined with intensity and spoke words of truth, wisdom, and contentment. Even while semi-conscious, Swami, you lived the ideal by chanting the names of Sri Ramakrishna and Holy Mother. Even after you left your body itself radiated peace to all those who saw and were seeing at that time. Swami, you have touched so many lives, and I am excited to hear from my brothers and sisters how they have imbibed your teachings. I promise to make sincere effort to internalize the lessons you have taught through your life. Om Tat Sat.
Okay. Okay. Well, I'm going to talk for someone. I'm overwhelmed. I don't know, my tears always flow. I have had the pleasure of knowing him since our younger days in Pittsburgh, where we are roommates. And perhaps someone never known the name, like Subramaniam. And I had a lot of sweet stories, only sweet stories. And it will take time, and so there's constraints of that. I may not indulge in this. I may say a couple of key things in our relationship. I have had the pleasure of knowing Subramaniam since our younger days in Pittsburgh, where we are all roommates. As we grew older, Swamiji, Brahmarupananda ji, led the way for us, and he will continue doing that, the way for our moksha, and guide us, as he always do, with their Gita classes, Gita chanting, numerous things about Upanishads, connections. He will continue to lead these things when he is in Ramakrishna Loka. Remember this keyword, Ramakrishna Loka, he belongs to. And the only thing to aspire for me. Maybe some other time we'll talk about all the stories there, but here, the depth of time, I will probably do that in a different time or different moments.
Kopi nabantaha khalu bhagyavantaha. Swami B loved chanting Shankaracharya stotras. And as Shankaracharya said, those who don the Bhagava clothes are indeed blessed. I'm standing here to say we all are blessed because we had the good fortune to be in company of Swami B. 35 years ago, I met him in the house of Dr. Dwivedi. He was instrumental in facilitating getting me my first Mantra Pushpam book from Chicago in one of the numerous trips that he used to take. And Dr. Dwivedi gave it to me on a Shivaratri day in Shiva Vishnu temple. I have been blessed growing up in company of Swamis in India. And indeed, we are blessed having this opportunity to have had the younger generation. My twins are now 13-year-old, and they grew up just I had grown up in the company of Swamis, learning from just observing. Nothing we can do to impart that knowledge or that respect that comes from association. So Swami, we are very, very fortunate, and may all of us who've had this good fortune of being in his presence learn from our experience and continue in our Vedantic path. Hari Om.
Namaste, Namaskaram. My name is Ashwin Ramamurthy. I got introduced to my dear Swami Ji in one of the weekly Sunday lectures I was attending in 2014. Throughout the lecture, I kept looking at him. While listening to his lecture, at the end of I was about to leave the auditorium. Swamiji followed me, stopped me, saying he wanted to talk to me about and made inquiries about my name, which I gladly shared. He also said he would like to see me more frequently in the ashrama. By the way, my name is Ashwin Ramamurthy. When Swamiji heard the word Ramamurthy, he liked that. He said, I'm going to call you Ramamurthy. Thank you, Swamiji. Following the weekly lecture, I attended my first Bhagavad Gita class in the living room of the ashrama and was asked if I had a copy of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita, which he was going to talk about. I had a different publication. I tried to follow Swamiji's explanation but could not do so. Swamiji requested Kumar Maharaji to get a class version. This opened my eyes. I started my weekly classes of Gita. Since no book was available, I got a used book which I'm still keeping in my puja room. I read every morning. Swamiji also gave me links to chanting, which I followed through, and it became my morning routine to follow the book and listen to the chanting. If memory serves me correctly, during one of the classes, he requested me to sit next to him at the lunch table and got to know me better. This was an eye-opener as I longed to chant Gita. Swamiji wanted more about my personal life, which I gladly shared with him. I started working as a volunteer. After retirement, I started working as a volunteer providing assistance to sick people in the hospitals, mainly in the ICU, as I was a survivor of cardiac surgery. Swamiji was very impressed by this. He says he wanted me to continue doing this job, serving the Lord as I was serving the patients. I was also working in the soup kitchen, serving the poor people. Doesn't matter who it was. Anybody who walked in, I served them. Swamiji was very impressed. These class settings was based on the seat availability basis. Places were taken by regular ashrama students. I managed to find a spot where I could see him and hear Swamiji talking. Having heard about my volunteer services, on the days I worked and I was off, Swamiji requested me for a ride to the doctor's office. This was so great. I came home, I agreed. I came home and talked to Gita. She said, wow, what a great service. So I agreed and I promised to take him. Swamiji was very precise in giving me directions, time, when to meet, and where. It was a pleasure serving him in that capacity. On the way back, if it was lunchtime, we would stop by Panera Bread or Subway and have lunch. As the lunch was being finished, Swamiji tipped the cleaning crew. He felt the cleaning crew was underpaid and needed appreciation. My relationship with Swamiji continued to grow. At times, during my free times, I would drive to the ashrama to be in the library. When Swamiji, as he passed by, requested me to come to his room or living room, talk to me, he felt lonely. Ashrama is very quiet during weekdays, absolutely quiet. Best time to come and meditate. Best time. I also participated in Saturday Karma Seva, where I got to chance to clean his...
Time's up. Your time's up.
My time is up? Sorry. Okay.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
In conclusion, Swamiji was born to spread the teachings of Sri Ramakrishna, Holy Krishna, and Swami Vivekananda, and finally teach Bhagavad Gita to anybody who walked into the center. Namaskaram.
Okay, namaskar and my pranams to Thakur, Ma, Swamiji, all the Swamijis present here, and all the devotees. As we are all together to remember our Swami Brahmarupananda, I would like to particularly share about how loving Swami B has been with children and some of my many precious memories about him. Not that I remember, but I'm told that I first met Swami B on my first visit to the Vedanta Center when I was less than a month old. It has been a long journey knowing him all these years, and while I grew up around the center, when my sister and I were at the age when running around here was our most exciting activity, Swami B engaged us by playing hide and seek. I still remember vividly how we used to go around to find him from the shrine room, shoe closet, kitchen, or pantry, and he'd make us happy with a childlike smile when found. Whenever we came in the evening for Arati, he used to carefully put some prasad and chocolates in a small Ziploc bag and give it to us when we left. We were always eager to know what sweets he packed for us. Since our grandparents are generally in India, one year he so lovingly came to our elementary school's Grandparents' Day, and he watched with keen interest as my sister and I showed him our work. When we participated in the Vedanta Center summer camp for several years, we loved his drawings and how he shared his extensive knowledge on Vedanta and wisdom to all the children at the summer camp in ways that we would understand. Many of you may know that Swami B had a keen interest in sports, particularly basketball, football, and the Olympics. Although we didn't normally watch these sports, we were always excited for the finals just because we loved watching them with Swami B as he observed the games. Swami B always highlighted the idea of detachment from the Bhagavad Gita, and this was seen even in this aspect, as rather than favoring one team, he simply enjoyed the skill and dynamics of the sport. We miss you, Swami B, and we are so very, very grateful that you have been an important part of our lives and for everything you have taught us. I would like to close with one verse I have heard Swami B chanting often, and I always felt he has conveyed that all through his life by thinking of the well-being of others. Om sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve santu niramayaha, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschit dukha bhag bhavet. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Thank you, and Namaskar.
Namaskara to all. I represent more than 25 Kannada-speaking families here who had the privilege of going through the entire Bhagavad Gita session in great leisure. It took several years. The Center for Learning went from Potomac Community Center to Ramakrishna's residence to Gundurao's residence to Srikantaya's residence and so on. So over the years, we were very fortunate that we had a detailed session of Bhagavad Gita under Swami Brahmarupananda ji. Before that, I would like to say that I am one of those who knew Subramanya, the Purvashrama name of Swami Brahmarupananda ji, in the University of Pittsburgh. 1970 is the time. I don't know how many of you knew him before that. Maybe I win the contest, except probably there was another gentleman who spoke. There is a park called Shenley Park, which is right between the Carnegie Mellon and University of Pittsburgh. That's where I met Swamiji for the first time. And as we were speaking, there were not that many Indian students during that time. We immediately realized that we both spoke Kannada and started talking. As it happens, that we found out that we were related. His cousin had married my cousin, so we quickly became friends. 1971, which was when I was a fresh graduate student still, Swami Bhashyananda's lecture was organized by the Indian Students Association, and Subramanya requested me to help him. I was there as a volunteer to assist him during that particular program. I knew that he was meant to be a sannyasi even from those days. He was highly spiritual, and his approach to life was very much different from the rest of us. And the couple of things that I remember about him, after we caught up here in Washington, he was able to remember the exact date when we met and where we met, and the date of Bhashananda's pravachana. And it so happened that my wife, who had just arrived from India at that time, did the invocation, and he even remembered the particular song that she sang. So I was floored by his memory. And another occasion, there is one great poet, Kuvempu in Canada, who has written 2 marvelous books about the lives of Swami Vivekananda and Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. And I was requested to summarize the 2 books for another book as an essay. When I did that, when I did this, when I summarized that, I wanted to get an opinion from Swami Brahmarupananda ji to see whether I have done it right. When I gave it to him, it was like 15, 20 pages long. He said, I read it, but without reading the original books, I don't know how I can comment on that. So he borrowed the 2 books from me, a couple of 100 pages each, read the entire, both the books, then came back with very highly interesting, constructive observations and comments. That's the type of person he was. And I think we will always remember him. Even though I knew him in his Purvashrama days, I will only remember him as our guru of Bhagavad Gita sessions. A wonderful man, wonderful monk, and a great teacher. Very humble, very friendly, very affectionate, very effective. My salutations to you. May you remain with us. Thank you.
To go on the top of the jacket. Okay. My name is Usha Gulati, and I am from Raleigh Center. With a heavy heart, we invited Swamiji. I have a blessing and guidance of Swami A. Have the blessing to invite Swamis. So we invited him before he left for India. And he was supposed to come on 23rd of April. And on 22nd, we had his memorial service at our center. And he's my Guru Bhai. We have the same Guru. And not only that, he was a part of our initiation, Puja. He did the Puja. And being a professor, my husband being a professor, they had, just teaching. And Swamiji will come always, not only what to teach, but handouts. We all had handouts. And sometime he sent me, before he came, that make sure that everybody has that when they come to the center. So teaching was his love, and which we all loved. And everybody in North Carolina, our center, loved him the most. And when the COVID was there, and he was so fond of coming to our center, I'm sure other places too. And so I said, Swamiji, if you will not be able to come, how about giving a Gita class on Zoom? My God, he did not think for a minute. So, yes. And he completed the whole Gita. And we have that on YouTube, every chapter of that. And then before he left, and he said, Usha, what do you think about my giving a class on Narad Bhakti Sutra? I said, Swamiji, wonderful. And either in person or on Zoom, always teaching. But when I heard that he was starting that class on 8th of April. When I heard that he was going to India, I just prayed that he comes back to fulfill his promise. And then he sent me agenda for 23rd of April, retreat all day long Swami, you need rest. No. After lunch, we have a second session. Swamiji, many people would not come. They go after lunch, they don't come back. No, it's okay. Okay. So this is what I remember. And his love for me and our love for him will always be there. Thank you, Swamiji.
My humble pranam to Thakurji, Mataji, and Swamiji, and humble pranam to our beloved Swami Brahmarupananda Maharaj. Thank you, Swamiji, for giving me chance to speak about Swamiji's memories. We are very grateful to Swami Brahmarupananda Maharaj for establishing the spiritual foundation in this DC area 10 years prior to the establishment and in the absence of this present Vedanta Center. By continuously working and providing guidance, doing pujas, conducting classes, conducting retreats, and so much so. And after the establishment of this present Vedanta Center, he worked about 25 years until the last moment, last breath of his life. And in the short of time, I would not say much about Swamiji, all you know, but Swamiji was the embodiment of the original quality of the soul, pure soul, which are, pure is peace, purity, power, bliss, knowledge, divinity, and love. And he was so peaceful. In 35 years I know him, he never get angry at anyone. He only scolded me once because I put the book upside down. And next moment he smiled and told me, Vasant Bhai, I am scolding you because someone scolded me for the same reason in the past. Second instance, when my son was about 12 years old, he told me, Dad, I know how to remove my ego. And I was pleasantly surprised. I said, how? He said, just sit next to Swami Brahmarupananda and your ego will go down. Such was the power of Swamiji's purity. And the third instance, which I have never forgot, because I witnessed what Swamiji said, that the last disciple of Mother told Swami Brahmarupananda Maharaj that at the time of your death, you will realize Mataji. And I witnessed that, and I never forgot that in my life, and I will never forget that. We are grateful to Swami Atmanandaji Maharaj and Brahmachari Kumar for taking care of our beloved Swamiji for 25 years with a great love and care. And especially Swami Atmanandaji Maharaj took care of him until the last breath of our dear Swamiji. May Thakurji, Mataji, and Swamiji bless our beloved Swamiji for eternal peace, is my humble prayer. Thank you.
We are a bunch of folks from Delaware, who had the pleasure of Swami B visiting us in Delaware, along with many other Swamis from the center. They used to give us religious lectures once every month. We were grateful to hear him and gain from his knowledge. He guided all of us on several occasions and prayed for us. Once I asked him, Swamiji, which are your two favorite verses? So you must have heard Sunita ji say chapter 18, verse 46. The second verse he said, which he liked personally, was chapter 9, verse 27. We will also, please have a look at it. I won't waste more time over here. Another thing that we will very, very much miss is the chanting of his Narayana Sukta. okay, during the Kalpataru celebrations. Okay, I just pray for the peace of his soul. We will really miss you, Swamiji, for everything you have done for us.
Namaste, everybody. When Swamiji moved here, there was a great pressure from the Vedantas of Chicago and Houston group for him to move there, but we prevailed. It happened in my house, anyway. Swamiji gave huge importance in doing little things and being mindful in doing them. Even on his last days, he would bend down and pick up small particles from the floor and would say, "Surinder, I'm doing my 2 bits." Then he would, more than one occasion, told me, "Surinder, we were friends in our last lives." That gave me hope that I will be again with him in next life. And many times he expressed his very humble gratitude for Swami A's love and consideration and his unparalleled support. Swamiji spent many days and nights by his bedside praying for him, taking care of him at huge risk as Swami B was in quarantine. I don't have words to express my feelings. I bow down to you, Swamiji.
Namaste, everybody. We met Swamiji first in Chicago in 1990 in my sister's house. Of course, it started off with Shivanam and Ramnam. Always, he would come to our house. After that, when we came to this area, he was the one who introduced us to this Vedanta group. We were meeting every month for his talks, and he would come here actually. And after he moved to this area itself, before the center was established, we had Ramnam in our house every Ekadashi day. He would be so happy. The menu was very simple. Every time it was upma and banana with jaggery. So that was the always set, and he would be very happy, and of course the tea was always there as well. Couple of other things in my own personal experience, or the instances that we had, was he would love a radish sambar. He would say, whenever I prepared that, his mother would prepare that, and he loved it. So many of you may not know that. And during Gauri Puja, I used to sing a song on Gauri. And he would say, "Oh, my mother would sing that song too. So can you sing that?" So it was really very nice, that kind of personal relationship that he gave us to our family and our children and grandchildren. We are blessed, and Sridhar will say a few words.
He used to call us so many times at home over the years, last 25, 30 years. And it resonates for me. Always he would start with, "Namaskara Sridhar Swamigale." This Swamiji is calling me a Swami all the time. And he would do the Namaskara first before even I raise my hands, he would do that. That is the humility we all spoke of. While the emotional side of it is always there that he passed. It has been such an elevating atmosphere here with that most beautiful song that you started with. And all the things that we are hearing, it is very elevating as well. I will only restrict myself to just a few comments. The last couple of days, Swami A was kind enough to give the telephone to Swami B for us both to talk. We were so happy to talk, and at the end, of course, he repeatedly told me, and I told him, "Swami, our only prayer is that you please go where you wanted to go." He said, Sridhar, I know exactly where I am going. I'm going to the Holy Mother, she is waiting for me. And it's such a joy he spoke. And at the end, he made a comment that really summarizes everybody, that is what you are saying. Thank you for everything that you have done, help. I think it was next to nothing that actually we have done, but Swamiji's humility has been like that. In 94, 95, I used to work in the Midwest because my wonderful jobs were there, and Rajeshwari was a professor in the University of Maryland, and so the family was here. And I happened to move back, and I had a job 15, 20 years after my PhD. I had a quality engineer at the lowest rung in a company in Maryland. I didn't know what to do. My ego was, I cannot take it. And I went to Swamiji. What he told me, Sridhar, and many times he used to speak in Kannada, but this is what he told me: keep this job as a means to live. You have so much of life outside of that. Just keep that in mind always. Use that only as a means to live. And certainly that is what helped me take that job, and I kept that in mind for a year. I was very peaceful. I mean, suffice to say, it took its path later, which Swamiji tracked me all the way for the following 25 years. I became the president of that company and became competitive, but I kept that message in my mind, at least to keep that balance for myself. And he always used to quote one item, and which he many times too. We always are restless when we are doing and something didn't happen so well or did happen so well. He would always quote this from 18th chapter. There is always this fifth factor, the Daivanugraha is always there. All of these unknowns with myself, others, in the company and the environment, all of that, there's so many factors there. That is why there was always a fifth factor that was controlling us. So we miss him very much, but his love and affection will stay with us. Namaste.
I have to also say that he was the one who introduced us to, made us go and visit Swami Asheshananda.
Oh yes, yes.
Just before he passed away. So we got his blessings too, and we heard the same thing from him, that Ma will take care of everything.
Yes, that was the very unique opportunity. We sat by his feet. He asked us to sing a bhajan on Ma. Shantarupananji had told him that we sing. And after one song, he asked us to sing one more. That was the best blessings Swami be mentioned to us. Thank you.
This way? Okay. I actually wrote much of this for myself without any intention of bringing it here. But I will read it so that I don't go rambling, that I have no big experiences, a lot of small ones. So I could ramble, but I don't want to. So I'm just reading. Swami B was a master of disguise. He pretended so much. I came to know at his funeral that he had been pretending to be a small 5'3" or so little guy when he was actually almost 6 feet tall. And like everything else, like all his greatness, he never claimed it. He never even mentioned his past height that I know of. Certainly not to me. He pretended to be small and negligible when he was so great. He acted like nobody when he was so integral to the history of the center. He was deeply quiet, though he had many things to say that were utterly important. He was unassuming, though he had many achievements to lay claim to. He even pretended to be a man, even though he was pure mother. He was pure mother, pure love, and hands down, the kindest and most loving person I have ever known, or could have ever hoped to even cross paths with. along with you all, I'm thoroughly blessed to have ever encountered him. And it was as he was in the process of finally leaving the body that I actually experienced fully the words, I have a mother. I have a mother. He was such pure love that not for 1 second did I feel unworthy of his attention. If I ever thought I was making him his tea, I was wrong. He knew that I had very few ways I could serve him, so he let me serve him tea, even though I believe he didn't want any, going by the tiny quantity that he wanted. He gave thought to each of his loving devotees and quietly tried to know their strengths and their needs, and he did what he could do for each one of us. He gave us his personal advice as to what we should do for our spiritual growth according to our abilities. And he blessed me by understanding my life and my circumstances, even though I never expressed any wish or need to him. He did such things to many of us, matching our needs and strengths to those of others. And now, through our friendship and support for each other, he lives on. And his way was to all of us the ultimate example of how to live and how to go. Though the challenge will be for us to actually emulate that. He was purity itself. I had the opportunity to watch him practice the austerities of body, mind, and speech, parigraha, gratitude, forbearance, and I don't know how many other great things. We have lost our beloved Swami, but we have gained a saint, and can you believe that? Can you believe the blessing? Now we all need to live up to that blessing to become worthy of the rare blessing of having crossed paths with and walked a bit with a true man of God. Jai Swami B. In saying this, I am confident that I have also said Jai Thakur, Jai Ma, Jai Swamiji, Jai Ram, Jai Jesus, Jai Buddha, Jai Swami B.
Pranams to all the sadhus, revered sadhus here, Thakur Swamiji and Swami B. Atmana mokshartham jagata hitayacha. And I have seen Swami B live this life for the salvation of oneself and the good of all. I recall I came to this center first time ever because I heard so much from Gurudev Swami Swahananda ji about the DC Center. It was the summer of 2015. I lost my way. I came around 11:30 p.m. at night. And Swami had to get up early in the morning to open the shrine doors. So he requested Swami B to be around because we didn't know where is the guest house, where to stay. And past midnight, we see he is serving us dinner because we didn't get a chance to have dinner because we wouldn't reach before midnight even. And that was our first encounter, first meeting Swami B. He accepted my mother's pranams, but not mine. And we stayed around a week or so. When we left, before leaving, when I went to touch his feet again, he told me, your pranam will be when you invite me to your home. That was such a joy, and I never knew how to serve a sadhu. We at that time lived in Ohio in a small 2-bedroom apartment, and I used to teach at the local high school there. And it was great joy. We returned again from summer to Christmas and made all the plans with Swami's help to invite him to our little humble dwelling in Ohio, Canton, Ohio, in 2016, spring break, March, the last week of March. And that was such a joy, like somebody can come to our humble dwelling. So that is what I can say, that the simple nothings of joy that I have seen in him, and his presence is something that I always crave, to sit by him and have prasad, because I saw the Brahmarup in him. On his last birthday last year, he told my mother to touch him on his head and bless him. And such a unique, saint he was, and he is, and he will be with us, that we take those memorable joys, the simple nothings of life, which led to so much of deepened spirituality. Thank you. Jai Thakur Sharma.
Namaskar, everybody. I won't want to repeat anything. I just want to say in Kannada, Namaskara Maharaj. ನಿಮ್ಮ ಜೊತೆ ಕೂತ್ಕೊಂಡು ಮಾತಾಡಿದ್ದು ಯಾವಾಗಲೂ ಜ್ಞಾಪಕ ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡು ಸಂತೋಷವಾಗಿ ನೀವು ಹೇಳ್ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೆಲ್ಲ ಜ್ಞಾಪಕ ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡು ಪಾಲಿಸೋದು ನಿಮ್ಮ ಹತ್ರ ಬೇಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ. ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ. Just I said I will enjoy every minute that I had spent with him talking in Kannada on and off, and then I seek his blessings.
We'll have just a couple of verses, Ramakrishna Sharanam, and then everyone please come downstairs for lunch.
Ramakrishna Sharanam.